are my friend, friends to the end. There'll never be another, never be another, no. Whoa.
Not by chance. Everything you need to stand. Though you were tried, it's just a sign. You've been prepared for this time and this space. Your wait is over. The time is now to go. Go and do it. God is with you. And God will see you through it. Do you want to be fulfilled? Unless you do His will. Then don't spend time chasing empty thrills. Go. The time is now for you to. Legacy, tell us one more time. You have what you need to go and do it. Let's say that one more time. You were created with purpose. You're not a mistake. And you see, God gave you everything you need to stand and deliver. Though you were tried, it's just a sign. God has His hand on your life. Did you know that you've been prepared for this time and this space? Your wait is over. The time is now for you to go. Won't be fulfilled unless you do His will. There's just no other thrill. The time is now to go. Are you prepared to go? God empowered you to go. The Great Commission said to go. Still possible. You can do it if you want to. God has been the word. The time is now. Go and do it. I don't know what you're waiting for. Your blessing is available to you. The time is now to go and do it. You can go. It's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It's your season. Don't waste another moment. You are more than a conqueror. You can go. You can go. You can go. Just go. Do it. praise you, Lord.
For your goodness and grace toward us.
We praise you, Lord.
For your spirit that lives in us.
We praise you, Lord.
We praise you, Lord.
We praise you, Lord.
Oh, Lord. We praise you, Lord.
We praise you, Lord.
For your loving arms you wrapped around us.
We praise you, Lord.
For protection you've given to us.
We praise you, Lord.
Praise you,
We
Lord.
praise you, Lord.
Oh, Lord. Oh, we praise you, Lord,
We praise you, Lord.
for your goodness and grace toward
We
us.
praise you, Lord.
For your spirit that lives in
Praise
us.
you, Lord.
Praise you, Lord.
Praise you, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
For your grace and your mercy, my eyes did not see.
What you have for me
As for me,
as I live my life.
my eyes toward the heavens,
Spirit of the living God, yeah.
fall fresh on me.
Want you to fall on me.
Fall on me.
Do it for me. Oh.
Fall on me.
See, yeah.
Grace and your mercy,
I did not see
what you have for me.
as I live my life.
My eyes toward the heavens,
Spirit of the living God.
fall fresh on
Oh, fall on me.
Fall on me.
I need it, and I need it right now, Lord.
Fall on me.
Lord, I hear showers of blessings. Send it on down. And let it fall on me. Trip drop, come on. Trip drop, come on. Fall on me. Let it fall like rain. Oh. Ooh. Praise you, Lord. Praise you, Lord.
Praise you, Lord.
We adore your name. We praise you, Lord.
Praise you, Lord.
Praise looks good on you. We praise you, Lord.
Praise you, Lord.
Let everything that hath breath praise the Lord.
Praise you, Lord.
Ooh. We sing,
We praise you, Lord.
praise you, Lord. Oh,
We praise you, Lord.
oh, we praise you.
I will go all the way, no matter how long it may take. I made a vow to give you my whole, so I'm going all the way. I'm going all the way. Oh, no matter. I made a vow, so yeah. Oh, I'm going all. I will go I'm going all the way. Yes, I'm going all the way. I'm moving. Yeah. I'm depending on you, Lord. So I'm going all the way. All the way, 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 all the way. Say, all the way. Come on and go. I will go. I'll pursue and I'll finish my course all the way. Said I'm gonna go. I'm gonna run on and press on. Yes, I will finish it. Yes, I will. Yeah. I have no other choice but to go on. I'm gonna run till I finish. I have no other. No, I won't give up. I said I won't give in. No. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna see the end. Yeah. I'm gonna go. I know I'm an overcomer. I am a winner. I am victorious. And I am triumphant. Yes, I am. I'm going and finish my course. I'm gonna run this race all the way. All the way.
We're live? Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone that's watching online on YouTube and Facebook. And welcome to the How to Become a Millionaire with an Average Salary by Dr. Cuttie Bacon. Obviously, I'm not Dr. Cuttie Bacon. I'm Reverend Galen McDowell. I'm the Executive Minister, Senior Assistant Minister, and the Director of the Johnny Coleman Institute here at Christ Universal Temple. And before we start anything, you know we start with prayer. So let us just center ourselves for a moment as we recognize the presence and power of God mighty in the midst of us. Recognizing God as the source of our supply. Recognizing God as the peace in our souls. Recognizing that God has placed within us wisdom and intelligence, understanding. God has put within us the ability to see beyond our circumstances. So we thank you, God, for this moment. We thank you, God, that you will speak through your chosen teacher today. We thank you, God, that souls will understand the message today. We recognize that people will go out and do and follow through on what they learned today. So we just pray this in the name of the Christ that indwells each one of us, and so it is. Amen. Before we get started, I want to just go over a couple of quick things. First of all, when everybody came in, it's in person, did you get the $2 bill that Dr. Bacon, $1 million bill? $1 million bill? Okay, it was the $1 million bill. Okay, excuse me, I apologize. $1 million bill. Okay. I don't know. My brain, look, when you do as much ministry work as I do, you just jumping from one hat to the, I put one hat down and pick another hat up. So, but you got the $1 million, not literal $1 million. Let me just be clear, not literal $1 million. But if you didn't get one, make sure you get one from Darlene in the back. And did you get a raffle ticket? Okay, everybody got the raffle ticket. This is going to be important because Dr. Bacon is going to do a few raffles. He's going to give away some of his books. He's authored 3 books. And for one person, they'll get a $100 bill. But that will happen at the end of the seminar. So if you leave early, you won't have an opportunity to get that extra Sweetest Day money, emergency fund money, whatever you need to do with it, okay? So before we're also going to give a lot of breathing room for Q&A. How we're going to do that is simple. We have microphones. People will have to get up and go to the microphone to ask specific questions. He's going to teach his subject matter, and then he will answer every question we have up until the time slotted for this seminar. Are we clear? And if you're online on Facebook or on YouTube, you can also submit questions. We will have someone pull the questions, give them to Dr. Bacon, and actually answer your questions online. We want to make sure that everybody, but let's be clear, the people in here, it'll be like 2 to 1. So for every 2 questions here, we'll take 1 online, okay? It's a little reward for showing up in person, all right? Trying to make sure there's anything that I forgot before we get started. Oh, did you get the handout? I had a handout called Prosperity Ideas. Before we close, I'm going to just go over that with you. So as he gives you all of the technical information you need, we're still going to do some building consciousness to shift our thinking process, because that's important too, right? All right? As Reverend Coleman used to say, I am the thinker who thinks the thought that makes the thing, which is on your sheet. So we know if you change your thinking, you can change your life. All right, so Dr. Cuttie Bacon, who is a member here at Christ Universal Temple, has been here for decades, created wealth the old-fashioned way by being smart and investing his money. And he wanted to give back. He said to Reverend Wells, and he also said to me that he wanted to make sure that this knowledge gets passed on, because everybody's not going to inherit millions, but people can be smart and build wealth. As I stated before, he's the author of 3 books. He has, I don't want to take any more of your time, Dr. Bacon, because you didn't give me a bio, so I'll just start talking about how really cool you are, and I'll end up taking your time. So without further ado, Dr. Cuttie Bacon, How to Become a Millionaire with an Average Salary.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend.
All right.
I particularly want to thank Reverend, because when I brought this idea to him, he got very excited immediately and said, next week. He checked with the Reverend and said, wait a minute, you're moving a little fast. We got some scheduled things. I think the First Lady had something scheduled. We can't bump the First Lady. He said, I know it's important, but the First Lady's been scheduled for 2 or 3 months, so we're going to have to let her have her say, but we're going to cut you in. And he immediately called me to cut me in, so I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful that I'm an old man that I can look up to Reverend McDowell as a leader, an educated leader, and has so many skills that my old Baptist minister didn't have when I was growing up, when I was his age, who told me the love of money was the root of all evil. But to have him, and we sat and chatted about people who have taught over the years about money, and we're in 100% agreement. So thanks, and give Reverend McDowell. Our reverends do not get enough recognition and attention. Thank you so much. I'm Cuttie Bacon, and I've had the fortunate experience of earning more than $6.5 million in my life. So I think there's nobody in town that's better equipped to talk to you about planning to be a millionaire. But before I get started, I need you all up close to me. I want you to take these first 4 rows. Many of these seats have a $2 bill stuck behind all the junk in there. I need you to come up and get those $2 bills out so I will not have to take them home. The first 4 rows. If anybody misses out, I'm going to give you the $2 bill, but you got to be in the first 4 rows. I need you to be close to me. When I was growing up in the South, we had to sit in the back of places, and somehow that got in our blood, and we started sitting in the back. Anybody get a $2 bill yet? All right, first 4 rows, though. Ain't no dollar bills, and if you don't get one, I'm going to give you one. First 4 rows, take first 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. First 4 rows. If you're not there, you won't get any. If I miss somebody, I'm going to give you one myself. Make it quick because we want to move on where we're going. First 4 rows. Just looking there behind that junk is a $2 bill. This row is behind that seat is a $2 bill. Behind that seat is a $2 bill. Let's do it in 2 minutes and get it moving right on. While you're doing that, I'm going to begin to tell you about myself. First 4 rows, get your $2 bill. Anybody don't get one, I'll give you one. First 4 rows. Come on up. You're in the first 4 rows, you got one. First 4 rows. First 4 rows. Look behind your seat. Oh, somebody got yours. First 4 rows. You're in the 5th row. I can't go back. I can't walk back that far. First 4 rows. Look behind your seat. There should be one behind the seat there. Several of them behind the paper. There are $2 bills. Look behind that and make sure all the $2 bills are gone. All right. All right. Everybody's got the $2 bill in the first 4 rows? Come get it, come get it. I'm an old man, I don't walk far. All right. Now that we're in the spirit of giving and talking about money, it's time to talk about money. Number 1, I said today would be a session on how you can become a millionaire with average income. Now, I know many of you are not average income. I chatted with some of you, and I found that we have people in this room that make from $50,000 to $250,000 a year. But none of you are millionaires, so the only problem you've had in the past few years, you have not put together a plan and disciplined yourself to have $1 million. It's that simple. The only reason. I know the reasons because all of my life I have been fortunate to have a job 2 or 3 and a business 2 or 3. And as I said earlier, made a lot of money. And most of it I was not able to keep. After getting some serious instructions, though, before I retired, I was taught how to invest in an annuity. And I have been retired for the last 30 years. And I haven't worked anywhere that I didn't want to work. I have not had a job. I do this occasionally, but I live better now than I lived when I was working, only because I was educated on how to invest and how to live off of the interest. The key thing is make your money work for you. Do not work for your money. I have a slide with PowerPoints, but I speak a lot impulsively, so if I miss a step, remind me. Step number 1, mindset. Mindset. Check out your mind, the way you think about money. Now, in the early days in the Baptist church, we were told that to have a lot of money, there's something real wrong with that. That's why I quit going to the Baptist church. When I heard what they were teaching at CUT, I said, I've been at the wrong place. About 40 years ago, I said, I need to make some changes, and I need to make some changes quick. Because number 1, I'm broke, and number 2, they tell me there's something wrong with me being prosperous. And I was not a Bible scholar. I don't read the Bible enough, but something told me there's something very wrong with somebody standing up telling me every week that I should be poor. It just didn't make sense. So step number 1, as you begin to plan and think about having money, change your thought and your relationship with money. First, your thought with money should be, I have a plenty already. The second thought is to be grateful and have gratitude that God has blessed you with so much. I don't know whether you know it or not, but we live in a country where if you have $20,000 a year income, it's double what the average person makes across the world. And most of you couldn't survive with 20,000. We live in a country where money is made up at the tone of $500 million is printed by the Treasury every day. There is no shortage of money. So when you kneel down and pray, don't be begging for no more money anymore. You got plenty of money. Ask the Father to open your eyes so you can see how to make your money work for you. So with the mindset, and we're going to spend some time at our next session with a coach to help coach you through steps on how you decide to think about money, the script you're going to use every day about money. The $1 million bill we gave you with your picture on it is saying to you, you should have $1 million. Look at that every day. Start using some sayings that you make to yourself. Tape them on your refrigerator. Prosperity is mine. I ain't gonna think po no more. I ain't gonna think broke no more. I ain't gonna wonder how I'm gonna pay my bills. I'm gonna pay off my bills and I ain't gonna have none. Step number 2, the huge step, and one that I had a lot of work to do on. Step number 2, after you condition your mind that you're gonna have money, that you're no longer gonna be broke, and that you're no longer gonna think, where am I gonna get the money from? Is develop an aggressive plan on your debts. Americans today are deeper in debt than anybody in the world. Credit card companies will give you 10 times as much credit as you can pay off and will worry you to death to pay them. And the main reason why most of us cannot accumulate wealth, credit cards, car notes, mortgages, and revolving accounts. Let me say that again. We're going to have question and answer session later on. If I'm wrong, correct me. Credit cards, car notes, mortgages. All three of those, for 99% of us, require huge payments every month. When I was a young man, they were so huge when I paid my mortgage, my car note, and my credit cards, I barely had money for food. But there's a way out. There's light at the end of the tunnel. First, you got to sit down. Raise your hands. How many people can tell me every bill they owe and how much the payments are and what the interest on it is each month? Just raise your hands real quick. What I want to say is, most of us don't even want to look at it. I used to get a stack of bills every month because I had 15 credit cards. And I just put them in the bag and hide them. I said, I just don't want to think about it. Because I know I couldn't pay them all. And I was talking to one of my colleagues one day, and we were all college graduates making good money. I said, man, how do you pay all your credit cards? He had about 22. He said, well, I pay the ones they used to could call you and tell you you're behind. Or they're going to garnish you, They pass laws, you can't do that anymore. He said, well, you know what I do with everybody calls me? I tell them, I'm going to have a drawing payday every 2 weeks. And everybody that don't call me, their name is going in the bucket. Any name I draw is going to get paid. But if you call me one more time, you ain't going to even be in the drawing. So you won't have a chance to get paid. And he said, I understand that nobody goes to jail for not paying a credit card. Did you know that? They can't do nothing to you if you don't pay them. Not a thing. You ever know anybody that went to jail because you didn't pay Visa or Master? No, they don't. It is an unsecured debt. Most people don't know that. Ain't nothing they can take but your time and your energy. That's all. Visa card, you may not know this, is the largest credit card operator in the country right now in the world. They make so much money, they can write your little debt off and won't miss it. Most people don't know that. Even $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. Visa card last year, look online if you don't believe me, made $21 billion profit. 21 billion. Now, mind you, a billion is 1,000 million. $21 billion in profit. They got crazy money. They have a law in this country. I'm not encouraging you to do it, but some of you may be so deep in debt, like I was at one time. I used to have $150,000 worth of credit cards. That's why I'm an expert on credit cards. Ask me any question you want to know about credit cards. Do you know that Visa and Masters have a charge-off thing? Who knows what a charge-off is? A charge-off, when you're like me and you had $150,000 worth of credit on 10 or 12 cards, and you want to keep your house, and you want to keep your car, and you want to keep your sanity, you just one day decide, I ain't going to pay nobody. I ain't got enough money to have a drawing no more. I ain't got enough money to pull numbers. I'm just not going to pay. Now, the way I did this, I went and talked to a guy who had been there before, and he said, look, it's unsecured debt. Ain't nothing they can do but worry you and send your credit score down, and we'll talk about that later. So what I did was simply stop paying. $151,000. I had Gucci, Hoochie, Ali Hoochie. I had Louis Vuitton. I had Giorgio Armani, all on sign your name. I stopped. They wrote me several times. After about a year, they sent me a little thing. It says this was a charge-off. So the charge-off, they send you a 1099. Says this is a charge-off. You don't owe us any more money. That is what they do after they write you for 6 or 7 months. You don't call them, you don't do nothing. Just sit. They'll charge it off. Now your credit score, and by the way, your credit score can not go any lower than 300. I don't know whether you all know about, we'll talk about FICA in a minute. They start you out with 300, and it goes from 300 to 850. But it was down to about 300, 310. The only thing I could buy was a car on Western Avenue at 50% interest rates. But I had 2 cars, so I didn't need a car. So I made the logical decision. I ain't gonna charge no more. By the way, I couldn't charge. So, lesson number 1 on credit cards is plastic surgery. Who knows what plastic surgery is? Plastic surgery means, Lord, I've used it too much. It's out of control, and I'll never pay it. I've got 15 of these, Lord, and this is what I'm going to do to them today. I am going to cut them in 4 pieces. I ain't going to never use them no more. I will not need these anymore because I'm going to pay them off, and I'm going to use debit. The great thing about debit is, if it ain't in the bank, you can't use the card. So, I am suggesting to each of you, if you don't remember but one thing I said today, you don't need a surgical degree to do this. Plastic surgery on every one of your cards. Now, some of you are going to argue me, but we'll talk about that in question and answer. But that is the first thing to do to begin to get financial freedom so that no longer will you work to pay credit card companies. You will put that money in something that works for you. We're going to talk about how it works for you. Getting out of that credit card debt is key. One, it frees up your mind. Some people are not like me. After I found out they wouldn't send me to jail, it wouldn't bother me, it wouldn't take my car and house. I just said, well, let me just go for it. Don't bother me. Some people lay down at night and think, how am I going to pay Visa? And Visa's got $21 billion. Don't worry about Visa. Visa is set for life. If you had 1% of what Visa had, you would not have to worry anymore. You would have millions of dollars. Visa won't hurt, nobody bother you. So we've solved the credit card problem. You're going to cut them up, you're going to get a debit, and you're going to begin to free up that money. Or then you're going to write a plan. Now, many people give you many ways about paying off your debt. Some say this, that, no. The best, and I've been through this 3 times. I'm 85. So I've been deep in credit at 29, then again at 35, and then again at 45. So I've been through this. So I'm not telling you anything that I was at Northwestern and was studying hard and found out. I'm telling you what I went through. From $50,000 to $150,000 in credit card. So most people didn't have that much nerve. But after I found out they wouldn't take nothing back, I said, well, Giorgio Armani, here I come. Louis Vuitton, here I come. Because when you kept, back in the old days, you didn't come to CUT unless you were laid. I mean laid. I mean, when I started coming to CUT, it was very common. As soon as it got below 40 degrees, you put on your full-length mink. I had a full-length mink made on a credit card. Because when I got here, I only had a London fog. I said, I cannot be stepping up here calling myself Cleve, and I ain't got a mink. So I just went on down and charged me up a $9,000 mink. And after I got the mink, I came during the week one time, and about 5 people had on mink jackets. I said, well, I might as well go on, sign me up, and get me a mink jacket. Because these visas and credit cards are working for me well. So I would step in there, lay down, didn't have a quarter in my pocket, was struggling trying to pay tithe. And every once in a while I said, Lord, I just can't quite make tithe today. But would you take a rain check until I get my income tax, I'm gonna catch up. You know how we do it. You don't have to talk about it. Yeah. You don't have to say, Lord, the Lord never says nothing back to you, so I just kind of told him I'd get him. But that, when you put together an aggressive plan of paying off your credit cards, what does this mean? This simply means start with the little ones, the weak ones. What's the thing in a war? Don't start with the elephant, start with the mosquito. The mosquito is that card that has $800 on it, overdue. Put together a plan that every month, 200 or 400, because the bad thing about Visa and Master, they only take 1% of the principal in your payment. So if you got one of them $10,000 credit cards like I had, 10,000 maxed out, and the payment is $400, guess what? Ain't but $15 to $20 going on that at 10,000, or maybe 100. That other 300 is going on in interest. And then if you're late, and if you max out, they're going to drop another 100 on you. So in fact, if you pay the minimum on the $10,000 card, you would pay them back somewhere around $30,000. So it'll take you somewhere between 12 and 15 years to pay it back. So to do this, you have to have an aggressive plan to pay them off if you're not going to charge them off. So that plan is start with the small boys and build up. After you double up on them, pay them off, then you got one for $1,200, double up on that and pay it off. $1,800, double up on that and pay it off. Now, as I said earlier, if you got $75,000 worth of credit cards and you're making $50,000 a year, do the math. You will be old and gray, older than I am. I'm 85 years old before you pay them off. Go online. YouTube will tell you exactly how to charge off, and it's simple. Just pray and don't pay nothing. They will charge it off. Your credit scores will go down. You get you some secured credit cards, and in 5 years, you can build it back up. But don't get no more credit cards. Just use debit. First move. Because what we're doing is paying off your credit, you're freeing up money so you can put that money to work for you. Second biggest problem we have are automobiles. There's something about automobiles, especially with African American people, that's serious, serious business. Preferably new, luxurious automobiles. And I know you look at me and say, well, who's he to be talking? I saw that Rolls Royce out there with Dr. Bacon on it. Yeah, I love them. I openly admit. And I've spent crazy interest and money on buying them. But when I decided to get out of debt, I decided to stop buying cars. Because notes were $800 like yours, $1,200, $1,500 a month. And I had some bills to pay off. That's when I wasn't doing charge-offs. So what I did was, I didn't buy any cars for 10 years. And I took the money that I was buying cars and paid off credit cards. And after I paid off the credit cards, I had money to begin to invest. And would you believe that just taking an $800 credit card, a car note every month, and just putting it in the bank for a year, you got $10,000 worth of interest in 1 year. You then have money to develop the things and to invest in things that you need to invest in. The third item is mortgages. Now, I do not talk about paying off your mortgage until you get rid of your car note and your credit cards, because that's the big one, and that's the killer. For example, most people's mortgages today are somewhere around $200,000, $250,000. Interest rates now are 6% and 7%. What that equals to, your monthly note on a $200,000 home is around $1,200. Your monthly interest is around $1,200. Your payment is around $16 or $17. So you're paying $1,200 a month, which is about $15,000 every year in interest, times 30. That's $450,000 in interest for a $200,000 house. What's the solution? Pay off your bills and refinance to 10 or 15 years. Cut down on your lifestyle and free up that money so in 15 years, that $2,000 you can invest at $24,000 a year. In 10 years, you're going to have $300,000. In the right investment, sometimes $400,000. That's the way you begin to accumulate millions and millions of dollars. It's waiting for you. So, step number 3, develop an emergency fund. Why do we need an emergency fund? We need an emergency fund because we always have emergencies. Car tire blowout, need a set of tires. You don't want to go and get one used tire because in the month later when it's snowing, the other tire go out. So you got to drop $600. Emergency fund will do that. Now, I say $1,000, like you can just get your check one day and put your emergency fund over there. It ain't easy, especially if you're living like 90% of Americans paycheck to paycheck, ain't no thousand. So you may have to put in your little account or in your cigar box $100 every payday until you create the 1,000. Your goal is to continue doing that until you have 6 months' expenses. So if your expenses every month, you say $2,500 times 6. Is that right? Yeah. You need $15,000 to have a secure, middle-class, comfortable, I don't worry about a thing, emergency fund. Why is that important if you plan to be a millionaire? You do not want to spend your time and energy stressing over a $1,000 bill or you owe federal government $2,000. You want to be able to go in April when they do your taxes and your accountant say, Ms. Jones, you owe federal government $2,000. Don't say, oh, Lord, let me pray to God, give me some money. You just go to your emergency fund, write a check, and give the federal government this $2,000 and go on about your business. Freeing up your mind to create ideas to making this money work. Now, after you create, and let me pause, because I was giving a seminar a couple years ago, and I told this to a group, beautiful black folks earning from $50,000 to $250,000. One woman said, I've been trying to save $500 for 3 years. I said, I know it. She said, you here talking about saving $15,000? I said, ma'am, how much you earn a year? She said, I'm making about $75,000. I said, yeah. I said, how much is your car note? She said, $950. I said, how many years you got to pay on it? She said, 4. I said, sell the car. You can easily do this. She said, are you crazy? I said, no. If you want to accumulate some money, you got to make some sacrifices. Sell the car. And I always give the example of anybody know what a Chevy HHR is? It's a little Chevy, like a little station wagon. I have a winter car that I've been driving for years. It takes me exactly the same places my Rolls Royce does. Exactly. I paid $3,500 for the car because I don't like to drive the roads in the wintertime. It catches colds in the wintertime, so I just put it up. I said to her, you are not your car. Just because you got a Mercedes 500 series, you're not a Mercedes. The Mercedes has got you. Because every time you take it to the shop, they want $2,500 for looking under the hood. I used to have one, I know. I had 3 of them, as a matter of fact, all on credit. So I know what happens when you go into Lober and when you go into Fletcher Jones. 2 or 3. She came back to me about 2 months, called me about 2 months. She said, I took you up on your idea. I got rid of that car. And now I'm saving $1,000 a month. In 15 months, I'll have $15,000. Now, what does that mean? Just stop for now until you accumulate some money. After you accumulate your money, you can go back and get a Mercedes. They always got hundreds of Mercedes to sell. They take back 15 or 20 of them every day from somebody that can't pay for them. But cars, especially in the African American community, is like cancer on your money. When you drive out of a Mercedes, a BMW dealer, a Cadillac dealer, a luxury car dealer, as soon as you drive out the door with a luxury car that's worth $100,000, it's suddenly worth $75,000. In 2 years, it's worth $50,000. So if you're going to buy it, at least buy it used. But to accumulate wealth and also having a millionaire's mentality, and one book I want to recommend that you read to really get it's an older book, but a guy who's done some recent research on millionaires says it's as current as it was when they wrote it several years ago. The Millionaire Next Door. You can get it on Amazon.com for $3 used. The key thing it will tell you about millionaires in the millionaire mind is millionaires with real money and old money don't buy new cars. They're luxury cars. Example. Most of you have heard of Warren Buffett. Buffett is worth approximately $100 billion, not million. Warren Buffett was interviewed on public radio about 6 months ago, and they asked him what kind of car he was driving. He said, I've been driving a 2006 Cadillac. And he says, my daughter's ashamed of it. She doesn't like to ride with me. She kept worrying me about getting a new car. So the other day I went down to the Cadillac dealer and I said, I need a nice used car. He said, what do you have that looks real good that's got low mileage on it? The guy says, and this was 2022. He says, I got a 2014 Cadillac here for $10,000. It's spotless. Buffett said, I don't even want to look at it. Take this car, give me $1,000 on it and sign it up. Now here's a man with $100 billion. Can buy any kind of car he wants to, or plane, flies a private jet that costs $60 million. He buys, as a billionaire, a $10,000 car, 9 years old, and brags about it on TV. When I used to get a new Benz, a new Rolls, everybody knew it. Man, you see my car out there? Man, when I went to the bar, I'd park it right in the window. I'd go early before everybody got there. Man, you see me out there? I did not have the millionaire mentality. The millionaire mentality is drive your HHR there and say, man, I put $2,000 in my 401k. I put $2,000 in my IRA. I got $2,000 cash in my pocket. I ain't buying these drinks on no credit card today. So when we reduce that need, that hunger that says, I am my car, or I have to have a new car, or my car is bigger than my neighbor's, we then move into the millionaire mentality that Buffett carries. You can walk into the dealer and say, bring me the best 10-year-old car you got under $8,000, and here's the check for it. And the $8,000 you've been paying in interest every 2 years, bought the car. The next thing you do, you drive until it won't run no more. My car out there is 21 years old. I bought it when it was 5 years old new. I plan to drive it 21 more years. I'm only 85. I got at least 21 more years coming. My second car, my Jaguar, is 16 years old. It's been on the road for 16 years. I plan to drive it 16 more years. And I never buy a used car. The key to buying a car is buy it after it depreciates 50 to 75%. If you want to make sure you won't have a headache, get you an extended warranty. You can buy a luxurious car like a Cadillac or a Mercedes, 75% off of the original price. That makes sense. And then drive it until it falls, because it'll get you from point A to point B, the same as a new one will. The additional money that you have each month, the $1,000 that you're not paying out on the car, gets to be $12,000 a year that you can invest. If you don't know what to invest in, if you put $12,000 a year in a good investment company and an individual retirement account at 10% every year for 10 years, you're going to have $200,000 to $250,000 right there. So, to summarize how to get out of debt and how to start your emergency fund. We just told you. Step number 4. What's step number 4? Are you with me or am I by myself? All right. Step number 4 is living below your means. Everything we've been talking about is living below your means. What does living below your means mean? It simply means, if you're like some of the sisters walked into me today, I said, what's the highest amount of money you made this year? One told me $160,000. I said, I know you got $1 million. She said, well, not quite. I'm working on it. When you earn $160,000 a year, or you earn $60,000 a year, 75%, if you plan to be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, is the most you should spend. Now let's break that down into monthly. Let's say you're making, for all practical purposes, $60,000 a year. That means every month you're taking home $60,000. Every month you're taking home roughly $5,500. Every 2 weeks, $2,700. You're fortunate enough to get home with $2,700 every week. 3/4 of that is roughly $650 of that you should not spend. Now, how do you design a program to live below your means? All the 3 above things we talked about. No credit cards, no big car notes, moderate-sized house note. For example, personal example, when I first got approved for a $400,000 house, I got a $425,000 house. Now, had I been smart, I would have got a $225,000 house. And half of that payment that I was making every month, of that $4,000, $2,000 would have went in an investment. That's what you call living below your means. When you go into the car dealer and he said, we can finance your car for $100,000, and you said, no, give me one of those used ones in the back for 10, that's what you call living below your means. That is planning a lifestyle. When you're in a habit of going out to dinner every week or lunch, and you're living below your means, you put together your good meal at home, and you go out to dinner for a celebration. The average American spends $300 or $400 a month dining and eating out. $400 a month in a year's time, you have eaten up and drank up $4,800. One of the reasons why Americans are the biggest population of people in the world. We eat and we eat and we eat. A person living below their means cuts that and says, maybe we'll celebrate and we'll go out one time a month. And we won't go to Gibson's or Tavern on Rush. We will go to a moderate price restaurant And we will take $4,600 of those dollars that year and we will invest it. We will make our money work for us. Now, the recommended level that most people will say is save 10%. And that's a good start. But if you have your mind set on being a millionaire, go for 25%. Because there are people who become millionaires and millionaires themselves. If you listen to part of the interview with Buffett, they asked Buffett, where did he dine out at? He said, I have breakfast every day at McDonald's. I spend $4.78. I wouldn't dare spend more than $4.78 for breakfast. This is a billionaire. That's what you call living way below your means. So, it includes writing a plan, following your plan, and remembering. Becoming wealthy is not how much you know. Becoming wealthy is 80% behavior. 80% behavior. What you do with your money, with your credit cards, with your mind is 80%. That's why you see a lot of people, you say, he's not too smart, he's a millionaire. You do not have to be that smart to be a millionaire. You have to know basic arithmetic. Who in here knows the rule 72, how to compute compound interest? If you don't, you do great. It's in my book that I wrote for children. The first rule when you begin to think about being a millionaire, know, where's my book? Oh, here it is. Know how to compute, yeah, she's got it right here, thank you. Forgot which page is on. Rule 72 tells you how long it takes to double your money at various interest rates. So if you walk into a place and they say, invest your money with me at 10%, you divide 10 into 72. It goes 7.2 times. That means your money will double in 7.2 years. If they tell you it's 20%, you divide 20 into 72. It goes 3 and some points time. That means your money will double in that length of time. Why do you need to know that? Because how you invest your money and what rate you invest your money will tell you how fast it will grow. Rule 72, that's a 4th grade concept. This book is written at a 5th grade level. I'm going to be signing them after this session, so the bookstore will have them. Get one and take it home and teach it to your children. Miss Fulton was in a speech I gave here 20 years ago, and she was shocked to see me with the same book that she taught her grandchildren with, and the great-grandchildren. It works if you work it, baby, and it doesn't change. Rule 72 hasn't changed for 100 years. All right. Step number 5. We have an emergency fund, so number 5 is money-making ideas. Now, people who are millionaires in this country, for the most part, became millionaires in business. Very few of us are born, somebody gives us some money. We may have one person in here who won the lottery. So we, in this country, become millionaires with small businesses starting out. Small businesses are ideas. For example, what I am recommending to you is to brainstorm next week for homework. List 5 businesses that you could go in, either at home or in a location yourself. Narrow it down to 1. 2 or 3 things I recommend. Go into business for something other than to make money. True story. Several years ago, when I wasn't as smart as I am now, I found out that I could make $1 million with a fried chicken store. I bought a closed-up, bankrupt fried chicken store at 1215 East 87th Street. You may have 1 or 2 people in there old enough to remember it. You probably have to be. How's the guy who remembers Pop's Chicken? Bruce. Pop's Chicken was located next door to the Swingers Lounge, where the ballers went every day. When they got hungry, they came over and got Pop's fried chicken. Most people know me today as Pops. They don't know nothing about Cuttie bacon. After I did the math on the business, I saw that I could open it up, and if I worked it every day, managed it, and fried chicken myself, and didn't hire but 2 people, that I could make $1 million in 2 years, and I did that. I was so tired after 2 years, I did not know what to do. So I hired some more people, eventually got 15, 16 people to help me. And when I'd go home at night on the weekend, like a Saturday, and then there were no credit cards. I was in business there 4 years, never had a credit machine. No such thing as buying $5, $10, $15, $20 worth of chicken with a credit card. Those days you'd laugh at it. This was in the 70s. I would be so tired, I would sit at my kitchen table with a beer, and I would count $1 bills, $5 bills, $10 bills, $20 bills until I would fall to sleep sometime and sleep in this pile of money. Some weekends, $25,000 and $30,000. When I went into business, I knew if I ever got into business and $25,000 came in a week, I'd be there forever. I was so bored after 3 years, I said, I got to get out of this. I thought money was what I want, but this is frying these chickens and smelling like grease every day is not what I want to do. I sold the business because 2 things I didn't calculate. I didn't know you should be passionate about something you're going to do 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're not passionate, you're not going to want to do it. I don't care how much money's coming. After I bought the new Mercedes and the antique Rolls Royce and paid down on the house in Chatham and went to North Michigan, those are like dope. You only get high on them while you're buying them. Once you get them and drive home, put them in the parking lot, you ain't high no more because you got to go back and fry that chicken. And that bird's waiting for you. So I'm saying to you, as you brainstorm, find something that you're passionate about, something you do for free. For example, I'm passionate about speaking and teaching. When I talked to Reverend McDowell, we never talked about money. Anybody else I talked to, I said, my speaking rate is $4,000. If you're real broke, I'll donate half of my service. I have to have a $2,000 check. But if you're passionate about it, you do it for free because it's all about giving. And it'll come back to you. Out of this one speech here, I'll get 5 speeches, and all of them will pay $4,000. So find something that you love, that you can do every day, and even if you wasn't getting paid, you do it. Little ideas that have developed into billion and $1 million ideas. 10 years ago, nobody had heard of Uber, have you? Anybody in here don't know what Uber is? Uber did $120 billion worth of business last year. And that first year in business, they didn't even buy a car. Did you know that? Everybody uses your own car, right? Yeah, they don't have company cars. They have them now for the executives. That was an idea that one person started in one community that's now worth $120 billion. The reason why I'm recommending the 3rd book to read, Think and Grow Rich. I know some of you have read it. It's by Napoleon Hill. Again, you can get it on Amazon for $2 or $3. There's 1 million of them. They've been printed for the last half century. It's probably sold more books than anything. Think and Grow Rich, and it's all about thinking and coming up with an idea that will starting a small business that will make money. So if you're going to plan to be rich, you're going to plan to be a millionaire, you have to have a small idea, and then you have to escalate it. And by the way, I was talking to one sister here Sunday, and she said, Dr. Bacon, I will not be able to attend your session. I said, why? She says, well, I'm already a millionaire. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, next month, November 16th, 18th, when we do the session, half of it will be on Millionaire, closing out this session, and how to be a billionaire. So make sure you're here next month because we're going to talk about that. Because what I want you to know is being a millionaire today is a very ordinary thing. There are 40 million millionaires in the United States. Did you know that? 40 million. And people who have money say, $1 million ain't no money. Billionaires have a petty cash fund of $1 million. So the next step is $1 billion. We won't get there. We do it in baby steps. We don't want to start you to worry in your mind about $1 billion before you get $1 million. So we're going to work on this $1 million. So brainstorm, come up with an idea. Also, if you go into a business to help people or make this world a better place to live, the money will come. I have a friend, I hope I'll have him here next week. He went in business with less than $150 in his pocket. He's a black man on the South Side. His businesses are doing better than $5 million a year, right on the South Side with a very simple idea. You never heard of him, you don't have no billboards, but he went into a business to help men get their lives together. I think the lady I talked to said that she went into a business to help women get their lives together. So if you're in the helping business, you won't have to worry about the money. You help enough people, the money's going to come. So homework assignment, come in with a written idea of how you can earn $1 million in 5 years. Because as long as you have the idea and you don't put it in writing, it's a dream, and dreams change every night. So I've talked long enough. I'm going to open the floor. Reverend's got his bit to do, and then we're going to do question and answers.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Can I get this mic, Christian? Couple of quick things. I wanted to make sure I gave the date out for the next seminar. It's November 18th for the How to Build a Business, November 18th, 12 to 2 p.m., to make sure that as you're getting this information, you can start, hey, Bob, you can start, excuse me, it's my buddy here. So you can make sure that you can stack up the information to do what you need to do with this information, and then learn how to do what you need to do far as creating a business, a prosperous business, to be clear, prosperous business. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to take a quick offering. If we can get the screen up, Christian, for the offering. Also, after we do the offering, I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. We have 2 microphones. You'll have to get up and go to the microphone to ask your specific money questions. Everything's on the table. Dr. Bacon told me he will answer any question. For those who are watching online on Facebook or YouTube, I have somebody that'll be checking those questions. And if you all have questions, then I'll make sure that Dr. Bacon gets your question and answers it. All right, because we got plenty of time just to deal with the real Q&A part. And before we end, I'm going to do some New Thought prosperity work at the end with the handout that you were given when you came in. All right? Sound like a plan? All right. So we have 3 ways in which we can give. The 3 ways basically are text to give. You can text CUT to 41444. We're having a little challenge getting it on the screen. The majority of you all know this already. If you text CUT to 41444, hit send, you'll get a link. It opens up. It says Christ Universal Temple. You then can follow the directions. You can go to the website on your digital device to cutemple.org, click on the donate tab, or you can, we have some board members here that'll be passing the bucket if you need to be able to do it via cash or check. All right? All right. And I just want to just keep in mind, one of the things that I often tell people when we have offerings and things of that nature, part of it is to make sure that you break the thought that you never have something to give. That dollar that can't buy a McChicken can keep you in the thought of lack, literally. So be careful when you get to the space of saying, I want something for nothing. All right. So as we release Let Go and Let God, we just thank you, God, for divine order and inspiration. We thank you, God, for divine and infinite supply. We recognize that God is the source of our supply and that blessing the substance increases the flow. We are open and receptive. Therefore, repeat after me. Divine love through me blesses all that I give and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God.
And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Board members, please. Again, we have if you're giving digitally, you can just pass the bucket through. But we want to make sure we do this quickly. And if you have a question, once the board members are finished collecting, go directly to the microphone for your questions. I also want to remind you that, did everyone get a raffle ticket? Please raise your hand. All right, if you did not get a raffle ticket, you need to go in the back and get a raffle ticket. Dr. Bacon will be raffling his books, and one blessed person will win a $100 bill. All right? So he's gonna, as he told me, this will be the beginning of somebody's $1,000 starter kit emergency fund.
Absolutely.
Okay? Starter kit emergency fund. So if you did not get a raffle ticket in the back, get up and go to the back and get your raffle ticket so you have an opportunity to be blessed with some emergency fund cash. All right? He's putting his money where his teachings are. Okay, are we good? All right. So let's, at this point, and we're going to do the raffle at the end of the seminar. All right? So we're almost wrapped up with that process. And also, Dr. Bacon is also going to sign his books. Do you have your 3 books up here to show?
Yeah, they're in the...
Okay. So at the end, you'll remind people of the 3 books. You can purchase the books in the bookstore. He'll be signing books by the Reverend Coleman bust in the main foyer. So anyone who wants to get those books and pass them on as gifts to others, you can do so. Because he has one specifically written just for children. And that's really important because our kids become adults who don't know what to do with money. All right? Okay. All right. I think I saw you driving away from Walmart yesterday. I wasn't sure. Were you at Walmart yesterday? Okay. I was like, wait a minute. You drove past my car? It's like, I know her. All right. All right. Dr. Bacon. Questions. If you have questions, please come to the microphone. And let's check online, people. Make sure you have your questions. Put your questions in the chat, Facebook or YouTube. We'll make sure we get them. All right?
And remember, there are no bad questions. The only bad question is the question you don't ask. Yes, ma'am. Tell us your name.
My name is Thessalonians. All right, thank you. Okay. Dr. Bacon, my name is Thessalonians Bradford, and in pursuant to what Reverend McDowell just said, I was thinking when I got your book how it looks like it should be geared toward children more. Will you be able to have a session for children? Because the children of today really need to hear this, and they need to know it. A lot of businesses are starting to put things into schools and starting teaching children earlier about life and about things that would help them in terms of their future. So I was wondering if you would do a session for elementary students and high school students.
Yeah, I'm available and working with Reverend McDowell and others. I'm sure in the future we're going to do something with children, but I'm available for speaking. As I said, I speak at least once a week when I'm called. So if you know people who have groups that want to hear me, I'll leave my phone number, give me a call, and I'm happy to accommodate them.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Annette Whittington.
Say that again?
Annette Whittington.
Annette, okay.
I would like to know, how do you handle student loan debt and medical debt that is taking a lot of your income?
I haven't had that experience, but I have talked to a lot of people that do. And there are 2 or 3 different ways, and I prefer to talk to you private about it because it depends on how high it is. You know, if you have a cash flow income that say you have $50,000 in debt, and you're making $100,000 a year, and you can arrange your payments, your payoff, like I was saying, that you can pay it off in a reasonable amount of time, I say put together a plan and pay it off. Many times, especially with medical debts, they're so ridiculously high. You need other things. There are 2 or 3 alternatives to do that. But I would discuss that to you individually. There's no generic way, in other words, of paying it off. If it's so big, there are ways of writing it off. There are other ways of foundation help and other things. But it depends on the amount of money and also the amount of your own income that you want to put in those debts. There are places you can write those kind of debts, some of those debts off. Some of your student loan debts are not. But I would need to talk to you individually, take an individual look at what you have, what your income is, and the other circumstances that you make. That's a personal decision you have to make. Yes. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Dr. Bacon. And I want to say, first of all, to Reverend Galen McDowell, thanks for this seminar, and thank you for your demonstrations.
Thank you.
My name is Edwin B. Mason, and I sometimes will say B stands for billionaire, because that's my goal, but it actually is Bernard. I'd like to know from you, for us, what I perceive as a people are not often at the table. And when I speak of that, I'm referring to particularly the stock market. So I'm like, if I can get my hand on that one stock market that the ticker is going to make me a billionaire, I would be one, but if I don't know. So I speak like, if we talk about Starbucks, if I had gotten in early, or Tesla, if I had gotten in early, what do you recommend, or what's in place in order for us to get the knowledge to perhaps, you may want to invest in this 10 years from now, it really is going to turn for you?
Mm-hmm. Good question, and one that's on the mind of a lot of people. First, millions of people have become millionaires with the stock market, and millions have become flat broke with the stock market. Mm-hmm. So almost any place that you invest your money that you can make big money, there's the same other side of that coin, you can lose big money. Stock market is a great way. The history of the stock market in 90 years, it has averaged 9.5% to 10% all those years, which simply means that based on compound interest, if you long-term, if you build up a savings and put $100,000 in it and let it keep doubling every 7 years, your $10,000 in 7 years in the market, on the average, is going to be $20,000. In 14 years, it's going to be $40,000. In 21 years, it's going to be $80,000. That's in general. You don't even have to go to the stock market for that. You can go to Fidelity, Vanguard, or any of those companies and invest in a growth fund that your money will do that. The big question that people hear all the time is, how can I make the money? And everybody talks about how you make money after the stock has made money.
Right.
For example, if any of you were smart enough, and I wasn't, I was told in 1997 to put $1,000 in Amazon. I was buying cars and didn't think about it. Anybody that was smart enough to put $1,000 in Amazon in 1997 and let it stay, didn't do nothing to it, would have $5 million today. That's what the stock market can do on the high end. If you had about the same time put it in Apple, you would have $2 million today. So my thing is, when people ask me what I'd recommend, I recommend, number one, that you educate yourself on the stock market. Start out with Stock Markets for Dummies, a book that Amazon.com. Take courses in investing. Also, prepare yourself. I say to people, whatever money you put in the market, be prepared to lose it. Everybody says, well, I ain't prepared to lose no money. So, well, don't go to the stock market. But in every big gain, there's risk. Even in the businesses we're talking about, there's a risk. When I bought the Greasy Chicken store, there was a risk that nobody came in and bought my chicken. And I had $20,000 invested. Those are risks you have to take. But in a year's time, I'd made $250,000. So I'm saying that, number one, educate yourself on the market.
Gotcha.
Stock, I say, is as personal as your clothes. You would never go to somebody and say, how am I going to dress to look as good as I look, would you? You say, I know that brown suede goes good with that, with dark brown shoes, cashmere coat on top of that. You studied that. You just didn't wake up one day and say, I got good taste, I'm going to buy this. You studied the market like you would study the Bible.
Gotcha.
And the second thing is associate with people who are investing. For example, my two best friends before they died, I had lunch with them once a month. One had more than $10 million in the stock market, and one had more than $20 million. And they gave me some leads that I lost money on. But they gave me some leads that I made big money on. But I would say make your investment decisions in the stock market based on what you understand about it. Do not invest in anything you don't know about. For example, and invest when it first goes on the market. For example, they call them PDF. When it's first presented to the PDIs, when it's first presented to the public, it's the time to invest. You can make money after that, but study it. Study, for example, if anybody who has studied Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon, would know that he was a genius and that he had money. He went to his parents and said, I'm going in business to start Amazon. I'm only going to sell books. They said, you're crazy, but here, we're going to let you have $250,000 to get started. Those are the kind of people you want to invest in. You want to study them and also be prepared to take a risk. For example, Amazon's first 4 or 5 years lost money. Wall Street was saying, we need to dump y'all. He said, no, be patient. I got a plan. We're going to make a bunch of money. And he made a bunch of money. So in short, I'm saying to you, one, educate yourself on the market. Be prepared to take a risk and diversify a little. Buffett said diversification means 3 or 4 or 5 stocks. Some people tell you 10, 15 minutes. But study it so you know it and be prepared to take the risk and go. Because if you don't invest, you stand of losing money. Because any dollar that's in a savings account or in a checking account, you're losing. They just don't see your note and say, inflation got you 5% this year. So you had 10,000 in there, now it's worth 9,000. So, and if you look at the averages, for the last 90 years, the stock market has been an excellent tool of investment. And if you're in the right stock, you can make millions and millions of dollars.
Got you. Thank you so much, and continue demonstrating for us.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Hi, how are you?
Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Bacon. Always a pleasure to see you, and thank you to the Higher Court Physician for having the seminar. My name is Sadia Mathis, and my question to you, sir, how do you feel about generating money within the African American community and keeping the money within the Black community?
I missed that.
I'll say it again. How do you feel about not only buying Black-owned, by generating wealth within the African American community and keeping money within the African American community?
Nothing better you can do. For example, our question was, did you hear? How do I feel about investing money in the African community and generating more money in the African community? Yeah. I specifically believe that we're the poorest community, ethnic group in the country because of historical discrimination, racism, and education. We were robbed of our culture, our religions, of all the things that pull ethnic groups together. For example, my Hebrew friends, my Jewish friends were taught as little kids, don't shop with anybody but Jews. We couldn't have been told that because Jews and other religious groups owned everything in the neighborhood. And we were also told that if a brother has a business in the neighborhood, he's probably too high, his stuff ain't as good, or chocolate milk isn't as good as white milk, so go white. But I think it starts with education, and also take each one being one, taking responsibility ourselves, that when we spend our money, spend Black. When we invest Black. And when we start developing names and logos and designers, know that we have to develop our own. Gucci is not the one to buy if you have a Black designer that has a product that's good. If everybody buys from him, he will become the Black Gucci. Louis Vuitton is not the one to buy. If you get designers that put together something and make as much money as he can, go there. The same way as if a grocery store, a service station, or services that are offered are owned by Blacks, teaching our kids and making a habit that we never let a day go by that we don't spend Black is the way we enhance wealth in our community and the way we make each other rich. Good question.
Hi, Cuttie.
Hi, Chris.
This is a question from an online viewer, from Daphne Francis. She says, at age 67, what do you recommend that one who has a small retirement income with a very aggressive savings invest in for the next 5 years?
Oh, well, I still believe investments are a very personal thing. I believe that if you know what you're doing, at 67, you probably have 30 more years to live like me. If you want an unaggressive, non-threatening investment, an IRA, start your home-based business and invest in an IRA that will, and most investments will gain her 10%. And if she starts out with $10,000, as I say, in 7 years, she's going to have $20,000. If she wants a more aggressive one, look at real estate. The appreciation on real estate in the right communities in Chicago is about 12 to 15 years, it doubles in price. So if she paid down on her rental property and rented it out, in 15 years, she could pay for it. And if it was a $100,000 property and it appreciated to 200, she could double her money in 2 years. I think there are a variety of ways, but I say investing has to be based on, one, how much risk you're able to take, how much time and energy you're really willing to put in that investment, and what you really want to earn. Many people do not want a high risk, so a 10% earning would be perfect for them because they don't want to risk the chance of the market going up one day or going down one day, and the 10,000 suddenly is 5,000, but it's going to taper out in 5 or 6 years. Many people can't stand that risk. So it has to be individualized based on how much risk she's able to take, and tell her age does not have anything to do with making money. Money is green. Investing and making money is purely on making good decisions and being consistent in what you do.
Okay, thank you. Now I have a question for myself.
Yes.
You mentioned about credit cards and how to cut them up. Now, you don't mean to cancel the cards, you just mean not to use them.
I should have made that clear.
Yes.
Excellent question. Do not close your accounts, but do not use them anymore. So when I say cut up your credit cards, I mean exactly that. And I'll show you why in a graph why I don't recommend that you close the accounts. Your credit score has 5 components that make up your credit score. If we put it in a pie shape, it looks like this. I'm not a good drawer, but 35% is payment history. That means, did you pay on time? And if you miss one payment, it's going to be negative. That's 35% of your score. 30% of your score is, payment history, utilization. Utilization is how much you use the card. If you have a $10,000 credit card and you have $3,000 on it, you have used 30% of your max. The credit bureaus grade you on 30% or less on your cards. Your score goes down, each percentage that goes up. 15% is credit history, I think. That means how long you had the credit cards. So that's mean that if you have credit cards you had 10 years and 12 years and they're good and you've been paying your bills, creditors look at that and saying, you are good risk because historically you pay your bills. And they're 7, 8, 10, 12 years old. 10% is new credit or hard inquiries. Every time you apply for credit, the credit company is notified and they call it an inquiry. If you have more than 5 on yours in the last year or 2, after that it starts going down. And last but not least is mix. Mix is what kind of credit you have. For example, a good mix is a mortgage, a car note, revolving, and credit cards. If you have a mix of, you don't have much of a mix, and it's credit cards and revolving accounts, it counts against you. Maximum score you can have is 850. Most African Americans are somewhere around 150 to 175, which is considered fair credit. Once you get to 750 or more, that's considered good credit. And that's the score you work for. So in short, do not close your accounts, cut them up and don't use them. Cut up the cards and don't use them. Great question.
Thank you.
Go to the mic so everybody can hear you.
When you were talking just now, you said 150. You meant 650, right? Because you wrote 650, but you said 150.
Yeah. What?
You meant 150?
150 for what?
The credit score.
You wrote it down.
You said
you wrote 650, but you said 150. That's all.
Oh, I meant 650. Okay. Yeah, you can't go lower than 300. They give you 300. Zero is 300 with the credit bureau. Yeah, thanks for correcting me. I meant 650. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bacon. I don't know if you remember, you and I met, I don't know, this is probably about 20 years ago, and I got your kids' books for my children, and they read them, and so they're doing exceptionally well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
My name is Armand McCarroll. My question is, I want to know your thoughts. We always talk about multiple streams of income, and you see millionaires with 4 and 5 different businesses. Is your thought to have multiple businesses and kind of spreading your time, or do you recommend getting really good at one, making a lot of money in that, and then diversifying?
Exactly what you said. Good question, too. Glad your sons are following the lead. Want to talk to you about that time. I like to brag about success cases. His question, do I recommend multiple streams of income? I do. Do I recommend them right away? No. I recommend, number one, when I talk to you about starting a business, start one business. I have friends that have 5 business ideas and they're doing nothing, because business ideas take action. Tell you why I recommend this. When I was a young fellow, I worked for McDonald's. I met Ray Kroc in the 60s. I was assistant manager of McDonald's at 35th Street in Indiana. Ray Kroc's initially idea, and by the way, you do not have to start a new business. If you see a business that ain't doing too well and you think you can turn it around and make millions of dollars, do what they call acquisition. Acquisition is buying an existing business, making it make money for you. Ray Kroc bought McDonald's from 2 guys, and he had one vision in mind. He says, I want to sell 1 billion hamburgers, and I want to make 50 cents or somewhere near that off 1 billion hamburgers. His friend said, well, how about chicken sandwiches? How about turkey sandwiches? He said, no. When he first started out, you could get a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a double hamburger, a double cheeseburger, the same hamburger, a fried pie, some French fries, and a shake. For 10 years, that's all he did. And then the Catholics convinced him to add a little greasy fish sandwich, and he had a fish sandwich. He had made $1 billion before he let anybody talk him into diversifying. Now, after you make the $1 billion, or after you make your first goal of $100 million, you can branch off. Amazon did the same thing. After Amazon made $100 billion, they went over and bought Whole Foods. And they buying up everything. But the first thing they did was they became the biggest bookseller in the world. And they finally got their first $1 billion, and they said, now that we know this, and see what happens is, when you become very successful with one item, you then have the template to duplicate that. So as McDonald's did, once he had 50 stores, everybody was cooking the burger the exact same way. He put together a university in Oak Brook. Before you could have a McDonald's, you went to the university, you knew that the burger was supposed to cook 1.5 minutes on the first side, 1.5 minutes on the other side. You knew the French fries were supposed to cook 3 minutes at 350 degrees. And he even put timers on his French fries, so when the French fries was finished cooking, the elevator brought them out of the water. Whether you got French fries in Chicago or China, they taste all the same. Whether or not you got those nasty burgers in Chicago or China, they taste the same way. He even had a measuring thing that he put ketchup on one side and mustard on the other side. You push it one time, it gave the burger all the ketchup and mustard. He could tell you exactly how many ounces of mustard went on each burger and tell you what it costs. So what I'm simply saying is, if you're going in business, first master one business and let it make you $1 billion. Then you got enough money, you don't have to do the next business. You can hire some smart people to start the next business and supervise them and do it. But in answer to your question, get real good at one and make some real money at one, and then go to two. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Dr. Cuttie. I had a revolving card account, and I paid it off. I always paid on time, and I never went over the limit. And then after I paid it off, a few weeks later, I got a letter saying that they closed my account. But they didn't tell me why, or, no explanation that it was closed. So what is that process? Why pay off your card?
Like a credit card?
And then, it was a revolving account, and for one store.
Mm-hmm. It varies with different companies, but you don't have to worry. If you got a halfway decent credit score, you can get 1 million cards. Just get one a year.
Well, my process is just to pay everything off, like you were
to pay them off.
And so this was the first one that I had paid off.
You'd have to look at it individual. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Many companies have numerous reasons. But if you're like me, when I had a bunch of credit cards, I sent them a thank you letter because I didn't need any more credit cards. So you may want to thank them. If do you have some other cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, send them a thank you card.
Okay.
Say thanks a lot. And I'm not being facetious. They did you a favor. And put a debit card in their place. You'll be happier. Next time you see me next year, you'll tell me that was a good idea. All right? But make sure you send them a thank you card. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Great presentation. 2 quick questions. Is it a great idea to invest in a loft?
Loft? What?
Yeah, like property,
property?
I guess
Real estate, in my opinion, is always a good investment. Mm-hmm. There are 3 things you must remember before you invest. Number 1, location. Number 2, location. Number 3, location. Right. Why did I say that? If you bought a loft on Oak Street, Chicago, property for the last 90 years has appreciated up, up, up. Mm-hmm. If you bought a loft on Hoster Street between 50, 175, property has went down, 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 down for the last 50 years. Mm-hmm. So once you decide location, you got a good location. Once you decide what you're going to do with it, whether or not it's going to be yours as a place to live or a place to rent, you then have to look at the rental market and what you're paying for it and how much rent. The theory, the formula for buying investment property is if you can rent it and it pays your mortgage, taxes, insurance, and there's $100 left every month, it's a good investment. And it's in a neighborhood that it appreciates. Those are the things you need to answer. And you can answer those questions by getting with a real estate broker or going on computer and finding out, for example, if it's a condo building, what the units in there are selling for, what's the history of their sales and their appreciation, and how many vacancies are in there. If it's a loft building that has 20 units and ain't but 3 of them sold, and it's been up there for 3 years, it may not be a good deal. But all those things you need to invest. But real estate in Chicago in the right locations have always been a good investment for most locations.
So my second question is, what type of advice you would give for the first-time buyer?
First-time buyer?
Yeah.
The first thing I'd ask you what your budget is.
What my budget is?
Mm-hmm. What is 50,000, 100,000, 200, 300, your first-time buyer?
I would say no more than 300,000.
Okay, if you want to invest in my advice is then decide what you want. Do you want a multi-property that you can live in a portion of it, like one flat and rent out two? Do you want to find a luxurious house? Do you want a condo? For example, if you look at all three of those, if I was buying a condo and I was going to spend $300,000, I would first look at areas like Hyde Park. I would first look at locations like Obama's library. We all know it's been rumored that stuff is going to double close to Obama.
That's true.
I would then look for the best deal near there if I wanted property. If I didn't want to live in Hyde Park, I'd look at the Loop. The Loop area up until recently has had a history of condos doubling in value every 10 years in the Loop. I had a personal experience with that. If I wanted a luxurious house, the last place I would look would be the suburbs. Now, I know I have many people here that live in the south suburbs, but I have many friends that live in the south suburbs, some fabulous houses. You know what underwater is? Half of them are underwater. Underwater means they got a $300,000 mortgage on it and they can't get but $200,000 for the house. Fabulous house. Nothing wrong with it. But you might want to live there forever, and the taxes are extremely high.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has a beautiful place in Flossmoor. 5 bedrooms. Bought it for $350,000. He couldn't put a gun on anybody and sell it to him for $250,000. He's got a fabulous house. He's paying $25,000 a year in taxes. Not a good deal.
Okay.
The other thing when you're looking at property, also look at the taxes if you're looking at it for personal.
Okay.
So in short, I'd say to you, first decide what you want. You want a condo, a single dwelling, or multi-dwelling? Which one do you want?
Single family.
Single family. Single family, then I'd look at the best neighborhoods to buy in Chicago. Some of the top neighborhoods, it's going to be difficult in Hyde Park to get a single family for $300 down, unless it's a rather small house. But neighborhoods like Beverly that are stable, neighborhoods like that, and look at the history of sales in there and the comparative market. So I would say, and your question to me was, what was my advice on buying one?
Right.
I would say, look at the neighborhoods that have the highest appreciation. Also, you can go online and find out what the crime rate is.
Okay.
Crime rate determines how easy you're going to sell it and whether or not after you get it, you can go in there and relax without Pookie coming taking your stuff.
So go at night and drive around the area.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Bacon, and to CUT. Oh, thank you, Dr. Bacon and CUT for hosting this seminar. My name is Janet Harding. Have 2 questions, and it digs into the real estate a little bit more. If you are in a position to pay off your mortgage, do you recommend paying off that mortgage, or do you recommend taking that money and investing it in the market? And then part 2, I heard you list some nice areas in the Chicagoland area, but Chicago's got challenges. The state of Illinois does. What are your thoughts on staying in Chicago, and let's be specific, the South Side, or just leaving completely? That's the point I'm at right now.
2 questions. Question 1 was, refresh me now.
Yeah, question 1 was if you're in a position to pay off your
Yeah.
mortgage, do you pay it off, or do you take that money and invest it, let's say, in a mutual fund or individual stock?
I'll put some figures to that. And I'll just suppose that you are like most Chicagoans, and you got a mortgage, say $250,000, what middle income people have, and their interest is running you about $1,200 a month. That means in a year's time, you're at very close to $15,000 a month interest. Her question was, would I recommend that she pay it off? Yes. Pay it off now, suddenly you got a plus $15,000 that you can invest. $15,000 invested in the right stock might very well end you up with $200,000 to $300,000 at the right time, or just say 10%. If you invested for the next 10 years, $15,000 a year, your principal investment would be $150,000. At 10%, you would have about $250,000 in 10 to 12 years. So you would have enough to buy another house probably like the one you got just in 10 years. So your decision to pay that mortgage off, because the interest on mortgages is ridiculous. It's robbery. Your second question about would you leave Chicago? I've been in Chicago 60 years. And Chicago has its challenges like any big city has. The challenges are not going away. Our challenges in Chicago didn't start yesterday. Pookie and them didn't get out of control yesterday. We miseducated Pookie's mother. We miseducated Pookie's grandmother. We miseducated and granddaddy. We got the crumbs. We got the worst schools. We got the worst services. Now, that's no excuse for us doing crazy things. But those are things that are systemic, that are part of Chicago. I believe, for me living in Chicago, I try to live in an area that I feel comfortable coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I know there are hazards where I lived in the Loop on East Randolph for 25 years in a condo, overpriced condo. Sure, they didn't stick up as often down there, but they're sticking up as often and jacking cars as often on Randolph now as they used to. But for me, and that's a personal, I think where you live is a personal decision. For me, there are many areas of the South Side that I would put up against any neighborhood in the country if we didn't have the crime. But most large cities have a degree of crime very similar to Chicago. For example, if I was buying a house starting over today, I would probably buy in Hyde Park or Kenwood, and I would buy a 212-room mansion, because I just always loved them. And they have that problem. I have friends that live over there. They have ADT, hound dogs, German shepherds, guns, the full bit. But the number of times that they are confronted with crime is totally different from what you would get in Chatham or in Pill Hill or in Inglewood. So I think it's a personal decision, and again, it's almost like investing. What kind of risks are you able to take? I try not, because see, the other thing you have to keep in mind is our decisions about and what we think about Chicago has a lot to do with what the media tells us. Mm-hmm. And every day they open up with Pookie jacked and Pookie killed. Mm-hmm. And he did. But I have people that live in blocks and no cars have been jacked at all. And so we can become overwhelmed with what they tell us, but it is very real. And it's a real personal decision as to if you want the amenities of a city like Chicago as opposed to Podunk, Iowa, or Dubai, for example. I have a friend that lives in Dubai for the winter. There's a condo there. The crime rate in Dubai is 0. In Dubai, they catch you stealing. Nobody steals anything because everybody got money. If the right hand takes the hot dog, we take the right hand. So you will not get any more hot dogs with that hand. That hand is over. And if the next week you steal a hot dog with that hand, we take the hand. So taking hands off just cut out the crime. You know, they don't have crime. But the amount of money they have, the fact that everybody's educated, and if you're a citizen of Dubai, you automatically have, I think, $100,000 or $200,000 income because they make so much money from the resources. So it's a personal decision, and it's one that many people have to contemplate. But there are neighborhoods, I think, that you can live comfortably in, enjoy Chicago, and move on. Yeah. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Ma'am.
I actually have 2 questions. One of them is about credit. I recently paid off my credit cards and noticed my credit score went down a little bit. Is there a reason for that you can
She said you paid off your credit cards and your score went down?
Yeah.
Well, one thing you got to keep in mind is, according to consumer research, 70% of all credit reports, personal consumer credit reports, are inaccurate.
Inaccurate?
So, yeah, they got wrong stuff on it.
Okay.
So you have to challenge them. For example, if you paid off all your cards and your score didn't go up, something else is wrong and you need to find out what's wrong.
Thank you.
And you can challenge it. Easy thing to do, go on YouTube and ask how to dispute credit score.
Yeah, I know how to do that. Okay, thank you. And the other question is, for business startup, is it more risky or less wise or more wise to wait until I have the money to start up and then start a business myself, or take the money from a loan and I feel like I'm starting out in the hole?
Okay.
With that.
Two things. It depends on how much risk you can have. And let me say this, and I did say this when I was speaking. You can start a business on a loan. Most businesses start out on a loan. One reason why African Americans have never went in business, it's only been recent that we can borrow $50,000, $100,000 to start a business. When I talk about cutting up credit cards, I'm talking about cutting up consumer cards that you use for consumer purposes. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a business credit card. And let me make the distinction. A consumer credit card such as we use every day, Visa, Master, and the others, and Discover, goes, whatever you charge on them goes on your personal consumer records. If I start a business, Dr. Bacon's hot dog stand, and I get a business card in Dr. Bacon's hot dog stand, that goes on my business record. And whatever I charge on that business card does not affect my consumer record. So I literally, with a $50,000 income, if I work it right over 3 years, I can get $50,000 to $100,000 line of credit unsecured on a business card, in your case, to go in business. If you got a good business plan, you think it works, that's absolutely nothing wrong with borrowing $50,000 or $100,000 and going into it. If you bankrupt that business, you are not bankrupt. That business is bankrupt, and on your record, your consumer record, nothing goes on your business record. It can go on that. But if you make $100,000 on it, you pay it back and keep going.
So the key is to keep it separate. So it sounds like the key is to keep it separate from myself if I'm going to choose to borrow the money.
Right. And I'm recommending that you don't go into single proprietorships, because single proprietorship business is in your name. Name yourself something. If your name is Jerry, make it Jerry LLC, Limited Corporation, or a business, and put everything in the business name. That's the one reason why business people can go into so many business, bankrupt them, open up another one the next day, and keep going. And that's the way our system is set up. It encourages that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. And mind you, if you do a $100,000 write-off for a business with Visa, they made $21 billion last year. They will not miss your $100,000 they didn't get from you. They'll get it from somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds, because I was thinking of like mortgaging it against my house, but it sounds like that's not a good idea.
Never.
To keep it separate.
Keep it totally separate. Don't let anybody convince you to mortgage your house to go in business. Okay. Because you don't know what the end is going to be, and even if the end is going to be great, don't tie up your assets like that. Also, and I don't have the name with me, there's a credit union in Chicago now, and they're housed in Seaway Bank's old bank building. I forgot the name of it, but they have classes on how to start your own business. Self-help. Okay. Thank you. Self-help. They give you classes and instructions on how to start your business, how to put your business plan together, and how to go get business credit cards, and how not to use your assets such as your house to go in. And they're very good. I was at Magic Johnson's seminar a couple weeks ago. They had representatives there. They know what they're doing. Was anybody at Magic Johnson's? Okay. Great seminar, great seminar. Yeah, but go by there and talk to them about it. Put your business plan together and put all your stuff in the business name.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Pat.
Cuttie.
Other questions?
Cuttie, it's a question back here. The mic is not working. I don't know if
you need a mic.
Hello? I'm going to come get that mic.
Go ahead, I can hear you.
I don't know if his voice can carry. You want the mic? Let's come to the microphone. He can't come to the mic.
By the way, while she's coming, I didn't introduce my first lady is all the way in the back. Wave your hand. She keeps me together and orderly. And thank Darlene Brooks, our great singer, does all my parts and my computer work. I'm computer illiterate. That's her in the corner in the back that signed you in. Darlene Brooks. Two ladies that help keep me together.
Hello, Dr. Bacon. Dennis Treadwell. I go back to 1971 when Governor State first started, and Professor Boleen My issue is not so much a business as it is an idea. And I get kind of tired of hearing these guys, you know, the singers, singing alto, tenor, soprano. I like to give them some ideas as to how to use their lower register when singing. And it seems to be a lost art. And I'm just wondering, how could I get an idea like that started?
Did you understand that? I didn't quite understand it. Can somebody repeat for me what he said?
I can repeat it. Yes, singing.
Let me come closer. My ears are old. Hold on. Let me get closer. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm interested in, I have an idea. I don't know if this is on the business level. And my idea is to assist young men to use the lower register of their voices. And the fellas these days are singing alto, tenor, soprano, and there's no baritones, no basses. I'd like to hear more of the bass sound the way it was in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Okay. Tell me your name.
Dennis Treadwell.
Yeah, I know you, Dennis.
Yeah, right.
How you doing? Yeah. His question was, his guys are singing falset and tenors all the time, and he would like to hear them sing bass. Okay. I am guilty of a falsetto tenor because I used to be a tenor in my young days. I don't sing anymore, and I love the sound. But I would have only one suggestion, and that would be that talk to the people in the music group that might really have it. I just remember it's Treadwell. I met him years ago. I really don't have an answer for that, and every once in a while I have to refer to experts in the area, and I do know what's our director, our music director? Monte. I'll give that to Monte, because Monte is a genius in music, and I'm sure he'd have an answer for you. Thank you. Last question, we're going to wrap. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Sandy Lynn. I've known Cuttie almost all of those 85 years. I've seen him go through many of his adventures and experiences in Millionaire acquirings. My question is, I'm being educated on a digital currency. Do you have a position on cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, and I don't want to bias you with it. I don't know a lot about cryptocurrency, and I treat cryptocurrency very much like I do anything that I don't know a lot about, and I know a lot of crooks in it. I stay away from it. I'll tell you why. A few months ago, you may have read about the guy that, the little curly-headed guy that did away with $22 billion. When I first was approached, my first lady approached me about, and she'll tell you, she had a friend that said, y'all can make a lot of money. And I said, yeah, you go make it, and I'll help you spend it, but put your money in it. Now, this is not to say that crypto, you can't make money. I got a little buddy, Crystal's son. He doubled his money one time, and then he lost it all. Those have been my experience. Now, there have been people that made money in it, but it was, when it started out, it was so weakly regulated by the government, one. And when I saw guys like Mr. Wonderful, who's a billionaire, and they took him for 50, 60 billion, and I know he knows much about investing and making money than I do, and he's very conservative. He's a Hebrew. He knows about money. When I saw they got him for 100 or 200 million, and they had him on TV talking about how great it was, I decided with my little knowledge on currency and currency exchange and the law, I let my friends make that money, and none of them have come back to me to tell me how much money they made. So my position on it, I treat it like a bad cold. I stay away from it.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all. I had a good time. Remember next month. Thanks for coming, and we look forward to doing this some more. Okay.
Okay, we're just going to quickly go over the handout and then we're going to do the raffle, all right? So we want to make sure that as you have the information, that you have the psychology to go forward with it. So I just wrote down a few statements that I thought could be beneficial in the promotion of the idea. The first one is prosperity is a rich state of mind, because we have to get out of the mindset of thinking that it's a particular thing. But when you understand cause and effect, you realize that the mind comes first, the mentality comes first, then the expression, then the experience. So, as Reverend Coleman would say, how big is your God? And we have to start thinking bigger if we want to be able to experience more. So the first thing that we have to shift in our thinking is that prosperity is a rich state of mind. All right? Bob Proctor, who recently passed away, well-known self-help, international self-help teacher, used to say, if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And we have to be mindful of that. The second one is a statement from the founder of this ministry, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. God is the source of my supply. Understanding that as you work with the investment principles, that God is always the quote-unquote silent partner, silent advisor, that God will give you the intuitive knowing to where to go. That's why he keeps saying this is a personal thing. But if you have to get in tune with your own intuition. You have to get in tune with your own spiritual nature that will guide you to the right resources, that will guide you to the right people, recognizing that God always has open doors, but we don't always see them because we're too distracted. I skipped over number 2, excuse me. Napoleon Hill. This is from Think and Grow Rich. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. You have to be able to conceive it. Can you hold that image in your mind? The possibility of financial independence. Whatever the mind can conceive. But the other part of it is, and believe. Believe means to accept as true. Can you accept that it's true for you? It's easy to accept it in true in general. But do you believe you can be prosperous? Do you believe you can be financially independent? Do you believe that you can create the life you desire? It's a part of the process. Number 4, again, I am the thinker, Reverend Coleman. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that makes the thing. Recognizing yet again that everything begins in the mind. This information is great, but if you don't have a mind that can accept new ideas and proper training, then it doesn't make a difference. How many people here have shared great advice with somebody that they didn't follow? Because if you can't see it in your mind, it's not possible for you. All right? So this is about consciousness expansion. Number 5, Catherine Ponder, the Reverend Dr. Catherine Ponder, who's a friend of this ministry, still trucking along, by the way, almost 100. Yeah. Actually, the creative law of prosperity concerns 3 basic steps given in this chapter and the next 2. Number 1, and Dr. Bacon talked about this, having a plan. Writing out one's desires concerning that plan and constantly expanding it. Number 2, mentally imaging that plan as fulfilled. In other words, can you go to the end in your mind? Can you go to the completion in your mind well before you are ever there? All right? That requires faith. For you to be able to go and see the completion, see the independence, and then live into your vision. Number 3, constantly affirming its perfect fulfillment. What does that mean? We were talking earlier before the seminar and over the phone when he was talking about, churches, trying to tell people, money's the root of all evil and all that type of stuff. If you're affirming one thing, and especially out of context where that scripture is actually talking about greed. But even, I'm more in line with Reverend Knight. He used to say the lack of money is the root of all evil. So your words need to match up with what you say you desire. All right? So it doesn't make sense to want prosperity and talk poverty. All right? Want breakthroughs but only talk about breakdowns. Your how can I say this? The tongue in your mouth and the tongue in your shoe have to be going in the same direction. Y'all get it? All right. Number 6, another Catherine Ponder quote. This is a prayer that you can use if you want to start shifting your mentality. I have unshakable faith in the perfect outcome of every situation in my life, for God is in absolute control. As you start affirming it to yourself audibly, in other words, just don't think it, speak the word for your own life. What you're actually doing is reconditioning your own subconscious mind. All right? That's key. Reconditioning, I don't know what somebody said in the back, reconditioning your own subconscious mind. That makes a difference. Why does that make a difference? Because we are a mental field. You've heard, those who know me know I teach this often. We are a mental field that is always radiating and attracting. What are you radiating? Your dominant ways of thinking, your dominant ways of feeling, your dominant ways of believing. All right? And that which is attracted back to you correspond or in alignment or in vibration with what you are projecting, what you are radiating. All right? So this is a way to shift your thinking. Number 7, this is Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity. You are in possession of everything necessary for the demonstration of prosperity and can undertake it with the utmost confidence and faith. You can draw on the omnipresent substance throughout eternity, yet it will never grow less, for it consists of what? Ideas. This is what he was talking about. Get an idea, get a business, get whatever, get an idea. All right? Through thinking, you take some of the ideas into your mind and they begin to become manifest in your affairs. If you want to become a master of life, you have to become a master of ideas. Whether it's prosperity, whether it's health, whether it's romance, whatever. You have to start being able to deal with the ideas that come to you, the inspiration, the insight. Possibility has a short shelf life. When those ideas come to you, save them in your phone. Have a phone that, like, literally, if I'm driving and I get an idea that I know I need to keep, I literally call my work number and I leave myself voicemails. Never let an idea get past you. You will forget it. And Reverend Coleman used to say that God answers prayers with ideas. That was one of her, anybody remember her saying that? All right. She would also say that God's ideas come fully clothed. And what that meant was everything needed for the demonstration of the idea is in the idea. The oak tree is in the acorn. All right. But I can put an acorn on this table, on this podium, and I can come back in 10 years and nothing will happen. But if you put it in the right setting, it'll become what it was designed to become. And if you put these prosperous ideas in a consciousness and a mentality that will allow them to grow, then they can become what they were designed to become. All right. So with that, I just wanted to give you a few things. The last thing is write your money goal. You don't have to do it now, but I just want you to be present to it. Have enough faith to write down what you really desire. All right? Nobody's going to come and check the homework. This is your goal. All right? So with that, Dr. Bacon's going to come up. Do we have the thing for the raffles?
Yes.
So are you doing the books first and then the
books and then the money?
All right. And then don't forget, I'll come up and do the prayer for protection, and then we're going to have the book signing, and, you know, you go about your day and begin your new prosperity journey. All right.
Don't forget your homework. I'll leave my email. Anybody that sends me their written business plan, I'll discuss it with you, and hopefully at our next meeting, I will let you tell the group what it's about. My email is Cuttie Bacon, my name, 3@gmail.com. Little c. And to be able to present it, you have to send it to me and we'll discuss it before then. We want good ones. We want the group to know about good ones. Remember that homework. All right. We have 4 gifts to give away. I always like to spread the wealth. First gift is my book, How to Write and Publish Your Own Book. One reason to write and publish your own book is you can sell them and make money. And you can become famous. You can start your pod, or you can start you a YouTube, and they'll pay you for those. The second one is How to Teach Barbers and Cosmetologists to Be Millionaires. Great book. And the third one is my most famous book. To pull out the famous one. How to Teach Kids to Be Millionaires. That book, I sold 25,000 copies and made $10 off each copy, so do the math. I didn't invest it wisely, though, but I did sell $250,000 worth of those books. So if you don't win one today, I'm going to be signing them out there. Give the bookstore some money. Crystal, pull the first number for the first book. How to Teach Cosmetologists and Barbers. Call it out. 210-193. Give it to her and let her check the number. Next one is How to Write and Publish Your Own Book.
Hold on 1 second.
How to Write and Publish Your Own Book.
210-198.
198, come get it. All right. If you don't get one, they have got plenty out there for you to buy. Bookstore needs the business. So do I. How to Teach Kids to Be Millionaire. 212. All right. Aisha, all right. Didn't I see my yoga teacher here earlier? Raise your hand if you're still here. There she is over there. One reason why I'm in such good shape, I have a personal yoga teacher there, and she is outstanding. Close to my age, and she's in much better shape physically than I am. In our yoga instruction, she said, "You're getting a little tired, take your little rest here. I'm not tired." She's outstanding.
All right, that was it.
That's it? Okay, now last gift is your starter kit. What did I do with it? I didn't throw it away, did I?
Is that it?
Oh, this is all. Oh, here it is. I'm serious about you starting your emergency fund. So I'm giving you your first $100 to start your $1,000 fund. So some lucky person. If you've already started, you might want to let somebody else win this and start theirs, but it's yours. Give me one more number. This is your $100 bill to start your emergency fund. That's eventually going to be 6 months. 210-219. All right, your first $100 to start your emergency fund. All right. Thanks to everybody. I'll be out signing books. Do your homework, and we'll see you November the 8th. 18th.
All right, everyone. Let's give Dr. Bacon another round of applause. With that, we're going to take the prayer for protection together. I believe it's on the screen. All right. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is. Amen. Make sure, again, you go to the bookstore, get Dr. Bacon's books. If you have his books already, go meet him in the main foyer to get your book signed. And remember what the founder of this ministry stated: it works if you work it. God bless you all.